Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the Colourpop Miss Bliss eyeshadow palette. Last week I uploaded my Inner Trance palette review because that was the first palette that you guys wanted to see from their new tie-dye collection. So today we are going to talk about the second palette, Miss Bliss, because that was the second place option. You guys know how my videos go down. I'm going to share my thoughts on the palette overall, talk about the shade range, would I recommend the palette. I'll also give you guys swatches, comparisons, and then you'll see my 3 looks towards the end of the video. So if you guys are curious about all of that, then just continue watching. Also, this is my first video that I'm filming with my new haircut. I have chopped off a lot. I think before my hair was extremely long and it probably like didn't even fit in the frame, or it would just be like cutting off on the frame. So I cut off a lot of hair. My boyfriend actually cut my hair for me, so he did a pretty good job, but I'm still trying to get used to it and just sort of style it. But yeah, I thought I would just mention that because I did show it on Instagram, but I didn't show it on YouTube yet. But anyway, let's talk about Miss Bliss. So this is $12 US. It's their like peachy pink palette of the tie-dye collection. So in this palette, you will get 2 mattes, 4 satins, 1 pressed glitter, and 2 metallics. So I'm just gonna jump straight into it. I'm gonna talk about the formulation. Overall, you guys know that I love Colourpop's press formula. I love their pressed eyeshadows, pressed blushes, pressed anything. I love it. Overall, this palette, of course, it's amazing to use. They are pigmented. They blend out so well. I want to talk about specific formulations, like different finishes, and how I felt about them as an overall palette. So first off, let's talk about the satin formulation because there's 4 of them and there's only 2 mattes in here. So if you guys watched my Inner Trance palette, what I'm about to say is going to sound pretty repetitive, but if you didn't watch that video and you're only watching Miss Bliss, then I'm going to just quickly re-explain it. So their satin formulation is a matte base, but it has little specks of glitters in it, and in the past, when I packed them on my eyes, the little glitters just fly away. You don't see those glitters. There's no fallout on my face either. It's just pretty much a matte shadow, but in the pan you see glitters in it. But with Inner Trance and Miss Bliss, I noticed that these satin shadows, it is a matte base, but you will see those little specks of glitters. I think the glitters are more obvious and you will receive fallout with that. So when there is like 4 of these satin shadows and there's a lot of fallout, I personally would have liked 3 out of 4 of those satin shadows just to be a regular matte, because I think for this palette, when you look at it, it is the most wearable palette out of the new 3 tie-dye palettes, and it's the most approachable. First off, it's very warm, and peachy and pink tones I feel like a lot of us know how to work with, and it's really easy to pull off. So for me, when I had those satin shadows in the Inner Trance palette, I thought that was okay because it was a super pastel palette. It was very fairy, mermaid-like, that if there was a little bit of fallout on the face, I feel like it sort of adds to the vibe. But for something that's more of like a daily palette, I wouldn't want fallout on my face, if that makes sense. I mean, you can obviously dust away the fallout. It's not really such a big deal, but I think for this palette, I would have preferred more mattes over these new satin shadows. So that is just my personal thoughts. I think overall the tones of the palette is really pretty. That is one thing that I would have liked to change. And also with the pressed glitter, I've mentioned recently that I've been getting into glitter. I've been enjoying playing with glitter, but for this glitter, I wouldn't have minded like 1 pressed glitter in a palette. I think it's alright, but I think for this shade selection, it does look really pretty against the other shadows, don't get me wrong, but it does look really similar to other pressed glitters we've seen. It actually almost looks very similar to the glitter in the Inner Trance palette, but the reflex are a little bit different. So I think it would have been a good opportunity for them to maybe create like a very peachy pressed glitter, because I feel like they don't really have like a really strong peachy one. So that would have been like a good place to put it in. So I would have want a different glitter, but I still liked the glitter and I still used it. But I thought maybe they could have done something a little bit different in that aspect. But with that being said, overall I still enjoyed the palette. I think the looks are super pretty and soft and girly. Every time when I see like pinks or like peachy colors, I think of springtime, and it's just so warm and cozy, girly. I love it. Although I haven't played with Oran out yet, which is the green palette, I think out of the 3 palettes, this palette is the most approachable and the most wearable, but it's also the palette that's the most comparable and shades that you probably already have. To me, this is the palette that was the least interesting, and honestly it was the palette that I wanted to play with last. I wanted to play with Inner Trance and Aura out first. I'm not saying it's a bad palette, I'm not saying I didn't like the looks, I just think it's colors we've seen before. It was nothing really special compared to Inner Trance and Aura Out. So I'm just gonna quickly talk about my palette comparisons. There isn't really a direct strong palette comparison, but if I had to choose one palette out of all of Colourpop's palette, I probably would say Strawberry Shake is the closest one. Now Strawberry Shake is definitely more on the pink side. Miss Bliss definitely has more of the peaches, but I think it has, you know, similar sort of color story. There's a lot of peaches and pinks in both palettes. I think Strawberry Shake is definitely more vibrant, it's more opaque, it's more like loud, but Miss Bliss is more on the softer and peachier side. But if you put them side by side, you can sort of see a relation between the two, but I'm not gonna say it's like a dupe. It's definitely just comparing just to get an idea of the color story that you're gonna get. I also think Baby Got Peach is a really strong palette comparison, since Miss Bliss has a lot of peaches and Baby Got Peach is a full peach palette. There's gonna be some comparison there as well. And while we're talking about the palette comparisons, I'm just going to throw in here the shade by shade comparisons. So hopefully you guys will find this part helpful. You will see a lot of comparisons with Baby Got Peach, Strawberry Shake, and surprisingly It's All Good is in there as well. So hopefully you guys found the shade by shade and palette comparisons helpful. Before we move into the three looks, I quickly just want to talk about the Super Shock highlighter that comes in the collection, because I did pick that up and I did use this highlighter for all of my three looks in this video. So I thought I would just quickly add it in here just in case you guys want to see it on my skin tone and hear me talk about it. So this is the Super Shock highlighter in the shade Your Trip. It is $12 US and it comes in a pan. So typically the Super Shock shadows come in the little jar, and I much prefer the Super Shock shadows coming in a little jar. I personally find it unnecessary for it to be in a pan, and especially in a humongous pan. My head, you guys, is huge. Like, it's so big, my head, it's massive. So that the fact that this big pan can compare to my big ass head, it's huge, and I just find like it's really unnecessary. I think keeping the Super Shock highlighter in the little jar was perfect, and also this packaging is just so hard to open as well. It makes me not even want to use it. Like, it's just so hard to open. Like, really. But this is what the highlighter looks like. It has the marble tie-dye in the pan. So in the pan it looks like a gold highlighter with little peachy specks in it, but on my skin it is a silver reflect highlight, so it definitely pulls more to the white side. And if you like a highlighter that has a lot of glitter in it, then you probably will like this highlighter. I personally like a highlighter that's more foiled and metallic, something more similar to like Lunch Money, but this one has a lot of glitters in it and I personally don't like that. But I mean, I don't hate it, it's just for daily wear I would prefer a metallic highlight. There's always a time and place for a glitter highlight, so if I ever need a glitter white highlight, then I'll always think of this one. But the packaging, it just really throws me off. It's really hard to open. If you have fake nails, you're probably gonna break your nail trying to open this, and it's just really big. It's not something I would fit in my vanity table either. And I think for $12 US, I probably would just get the Miss Bliss eyeshadow palette. If you're gonna spend $12 US on Colourpop, I personally would just go for an eyeshadow palette, or even just get the small little tub of a Super Shock shadow in Lunch Money. Lunch Money is perfect. Didn't need to change packaging or anything. And I think the Super Shock highlighters are probably like $8 US. So I mean, it's like $4 US cheaper, but it's way easier to travel, way easier to open, and yeah. I'll just leave it at that. I think if you do like a glittery highlight, then you would like this. And if you wanted a highlighter that has, you know, a really big mirror, then this would be a good option as well. But for me personally, I probably could have skipped on this. Alright, so with those two reviews being done, we can now move into the three looks. Alright, so to get started with the first look, I'm going to start off with the shade Vivant Thing, and this is going to be our transition shadow. I'm just going to work that straight into my crease using windshield wiping motions like always. This is a really pretty tone for a transition shadow because it's not too light, not too dark on my skin tone, so it works out perfectly. It also is a satin shadow, so it's going to go down like a matte, but you will see little specks of glitter peeking through out of it, and you will also get a little bit of fallout, which we will dust off later on, but that's just something you should note when you are using this shadow. Then I'm going to go into the shade Optimus, and I'm going to place this at the outer corners of my eyes. To be honest, Optimus is not really going to change up the look too much because I would say it's probably just like a smidge darker than Vivant Thing, which was our transition shadow, but it's going to just add a bit more peachiness, a bit more depth to the outer corners, and I'm also going to take that onto my lower lash line as well. I'm just going to sweep that from the outer corner right to the inner corner, but making sure at the outer corner I am connecting those shadows. Now I am taking the shade Palo Santo, and I'm going to place this right at the inner third of my eyes. I'm not using the shadow wet, I'm just going to place it at the inner third. I want the little glitters to really sparkle through, and this metallic is more on the glittery side than the foiled side. So these little specks of glitters really do peek through, which I love for this type of look because I'm just going to diffuse this out. I'm not going to be so precise with it. I want it to be blown out. You can see I also take it into my inner corners as well, just to highlight that area. I also take it to my brow bones to highlight that area as well. Then I'm going to go in with the Colourpop BFF liquid liner, and I'm going to use this to line my lash line. I will go in with a dark brown eyeshadow to extend the liner and create a wing. That is just what I like to do. I think it makes it a little bit more softer and it suits the vibe of this look. I think a black would have been too harsh for like a peachy soft look, so I went with a dark brown instead. I then just tightlined my upper lash line with a dark brown eyeliner. This one is from RCN. It's my favorite one ever. And then I will curl my lashes, apply some mascara, and then I'm going to pop on my lashes. And these ones are from House of Lashes in the style Natalia Light. And this, you guys, is the first look completed. I hope you guys enjoyed it. For the first look, I definitely pulled to the peachy side of the palette and definitely more to like the soft glam side. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this look. This look is something I definitely would wear out. These are the tones, technique, everything about this look is up my alley. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this first look. So now onto the second look. I'm going to start off with the shade of Quartz, and this is going to be our transition shadow. I'm just going to work that into my crease using windshield wiping motions, and I'm going to blow this up towards my brow bone and also towards the outer corners. This is a satin shadow, so you are going to experience a little bit of fallout with this, so just keep that in mind. Next, we're going to move into the shade Loves It, and I'm going to start packing this onto my lid space. I'm just going to pack on the pigmentation there first because that's where I want the most pigment to be, and then I'll slowly start blending that up towards the transition shadow. So you are getting a really nice, pretty pink blend. And I'm also going to take this onto my lower lash line as well, just sweeping that from the outer corner right to the inner corner. Loves It is also a satin shadow, so we're using two satin shadows, so there is going to be a little bit more fallout with this eye look. So if you want to do your eyes first, that's always an option. Now I am taking the shade Chakra to Me, and I'm going to place this right at the center of my eyes. You can use this shadow wet, but I'm not, just because I want those little glitters to shimmer through. I want this to be more on the glittery side rather than the foiled side, but if you want it to be very high shine, then you definitely can go ahead and wet it. But we're just going to place that at the center of our eyes, and that's going to catch the light and give us a halo effect. So we're also going to take this onto our lower lash line as well, but just at the center. Then I'm taking Law of Attraction and I'm going to place that right on top of Chakra to Me, so right at the center of our eyes. I'm just going to spread this out. It's just going to give more dimensions. We have the finer glitters and then the chunkier glitters with this pressed glitter. And like you guessed it, I'm also going to take this onto my lower lash line as well. Now I am using my Colourpop Creme Gel Liner in the shade Call Me. I'm going to use this to tightline my upper waterline and also line my lash line. I then will go in with a thin angled brush to smoke out and smudge out that liner and also create a soft wing. Every time I do pastel looks, I feel like I have to use a pencil liner for my wing because it's softer and it just suits the vibe of the look. I feel like a liquid liner would be too harsh. But then we're going to curl our lashes and apply mascara, and then we're gonna pop on our falsies. The ones I'm wearing today are from House of Lashes in the style Iconic Light. And this, you guys, is the second look completed. For the second look, I wanted to show you more of the pinky mauve side and just give you a bit of variation that there is a peach and a pink side. So this is the pinky side of the palette. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It was a pretty simple technique to do, but it's still very glam and girly. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this second look. And now for the final look, I'm going to start off with the shade Loves It, and I'm going to place this right at the outer third of my eyes. We are just going to use circular motions to get this diffused and blended at the outer corner. I'm also going to take this onto my lower lash line, connecting the shadows, but I'm only again going to focus this at the outer third. I'm then moving into the shade Intuitive, and I'm going to place this right at the center of my eyes, right next to Loves It, and these two shadows are going to blend so nicely into each other, like it's so effortless. Just swipe left and right, the blend will happen, and we're slowly going to see this soft, peachy gradient sunset look. And you also want to take this onto your lower lash line as well, just at the center. Pretty much whatever we do on our lids, we're going to copy that and paste it onto our lower lash line. Now I am taking the shade Whoa, and this is going at the inner third of my eyes, pretty much doing exactly the same thing, just damping that on, blending it in towards the other shadows. I do take this into my inner corners as well, just because it is a satin shadow. There are the little specks of glitters in there, so it's going to almost highlight that area as well. And I'm also going to bring that to the inner part of my lower lash line, just connecting the shadows, and you can see the whole eye look is just completed as one. Now taking Law of Attraction, I'm just going to tap this on all over my eyes. Because we use two of these satin shadows, there are already little specks of glitters like here and there, but just to enhance those little glitters, I'm going to add in Law of Attraction to just give a little bit of a glimmer to the eyes. It's nothing too intense, it's actually very subtle, so I think it does add a really nice flip to the eye look. Now I'm going to go in with my Colourpop BFF liquid liner in the shade Grande, and I'm going to use this to line my lash line and also create a wing. I do go in with a dark brown eyeshadow just to extend the liner, to smudge it out, and just to sort of perfect it. And then I will pop on my lashes. The lashes I'm wearing today are from Petite Cosmetics in the style Honey. And this, you guys, is the final look completed. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love the combo of the pink and peaches. It reminds me of like a, I don't know, a peach smoothie or something. It's super pretty. It's very subtle. I think this might have to be my favorite look out of the three. So I really liked how it turned out. Hopefully you guys liked it too. And that, you guys, was my 3 looks completed. Be sure to let me know which look out of the 3 was your favorite down below. I really liked 1 and 3, but let me know your thoughts. I love hearing your feedback. If you guys did find this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it so much. It also helps out with the algorithm and just getting my video out to more people. So give it a thumbs up if you found it helpful. But yeah, you guys, that is going to complete today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!